Think of it like this. You're going to your manager to ask for a raise. That money that can potentially come into your pocket isn't going away from their pocket. They're not taking it out of their salary and giving it to you. You know, it doesn't harm them. It's the company's money. Your manager is a person between you and your company who can potentially allow that transaction to happen. So you need to make your manager's life easier. And all that takes is, oh, what is going on, people? Today we are going to be talking about a topic for those of you who are already in the world of work, and that is, how do you ask for a raise from your manager? So let's get straight into it. Alright, so I've got some notes with me, done some research as well as combined my own knowledge, and I'm just going to run through some of these points because oftentimes obviously it can be tricky, especially if you're new to the world of work. You know, how do you navigate a compensation conversation? How do you go about asking your manager? What's the best approach? How do you do your research? How do you kind of, you know, go into a meeting and confidently ask for a raise and back yourself up? So those are some of the things that I want to talk about today, especially if you're from either a disadvantaged background or a BAME community. You might have imposter syndrome, or you might not be as confident in asking for a raise. You might think it's an entitled thing to do, and oftentimes, like I've seen from previous experience, you know, those from more privileged backgrounds are more comfortable going into meetings and asking for raises, asking for higher bonuses. And so this video is for anyone who might think otherwise before asking for a raise, because if you're putting in good work, if you're performing above average, then you do deserve to get paid accordingly. And if not, there's always going to be a firm that's willing to pay for your work rate. First things first, understand that it's completely normal to ask for a raise. Obviously, you don't want to go and ask for a raise after just being a new graduate for 1 year. I would personally encourage you, after you've done around 2 years, then you should start thinking about a raise. So do not think that it's a foreign concept. It's completely normal. It's not a greedy or entitled thing to do, so don't think twice about it. Also, oftentimes a lot of people get worried about, you know, what if my manager says no, they don't give me a raise? You're not going to damage the relationship as long as you are doing two things. One, as long as you're not asking for an obscene amount of increase in income. So, you know, if you're being paid 50k for the year and you're asking to jump your base salary to 70 or 80k, that's just plain stupid. Or if you're earning 25k and you want to raise your base salary to 50k, that's, you know, 100% increase. It just doesn't make sense. So don't ask for obscene amounts, and we'll go into how to figure out what number you should ask for in a bit. And secondly, don't ask for a raise if you're not a top performer. If you're not performing to the standard that is better than all of your peers, then you don't really have a leg to stand on, so keep that in mind. So typically at investment banks, for example, every year there tends to be a review, and as part of that review everyone gets ranked. So you want to be performing in the top quartile. So if you're a top performer for over a year, then you have the credibility to go into a meeting and ask for a raise, because the firm never wants to lose top talent. And if you're performing at the top of your class, then you are in a position to ask your manager for a raise and they can't argue against you. Now, if you're a bottom quartile performer or an average performer, you know, you can ask for a raise, but your manager will say, first get into the top quartile and then we can speak about your salary. Timing, this is very important. Most investment banks typically do annual reviews. So every individual, every employee gets reviewed once a year. Now, the timing of this might differ from organization to organization, but it's important for you to understand and appreciate when it is and then plan ahead. So if you're getting reviewed every year in the summer, or let's say in August, then you need to plan your career conversation for a raise at least 1 or 2 months prior to that. That will give your manager enough time to bake in everything you've told them and asked for, and consider your case, and that will give enough time for them to kind of make these changes if they see fit for the upcoming review period. Because there's no point getting to review season and asking then, because all the numbers have been stacked up, all the reviews have been stacked up, and there's not much the manager can do. So be early, at least 1 or 2 months before your review season kicks off is a good time to have that career conversation to get a compensation raise. Know what your work is worth and start by doing research online. So companies like Glassdoor or Indeed are great places to kind of look at what someone in a similar position to you in the same industry is getting paid. So use these resources. You can easily go Glassdoor, Goldman Sachs analyst salary and find out what they're getting paid, VP salary, find out what they're getting paid, associate salary, find out what they're getting paid, and get a general gist of, you know, how much someone is earning at that company in that position, but also in other companies in the same industry. And you want to create like a table, or, you know, a data table that has on average the salaries that are being paid, and see where you fall within that. If you're being underpaid, that's, you know, that's something you can take to the meeting. If you're being overpaid, then I don't know, that's a good thing really. So you want to see, ideally you want to see that other companies and firms are paying more for the talent at the same experience level as you, and so that will give you another bow to your arrow to take into the meeting with your manager. Having said this, keep in mind, you know, all of this data online isn't always as accurate as can be, so take it with a pinch of salt. One extra step you can do, and some people might be uncomfortable doing this, is have the conversation with some of your colleagues, some of your peers, some of your friends in the same industry or not in your given organization. Oftentimes a lot of people are actually open about talking about how much they're earning, how much bonus they got paid, so on and so forth. So have that conversation. Obviously don't be too pushy. Have the conversation with people that you can trust. Let them know that, you know, you're considering speaking to your manager about a potential salary raise because you've been a top performer, because this, that and the other, XYZ. And just have that conversation, and you never know where it might lead to. And if you can get an idea of how much your peers are earning or other colleagues, it will make you feel more comfortable going into the meeting and asking for a raise if the numbers all add up and make sense to kind of lead to the request for a raise for you. Okay, if you know that your boss or your manager isn't the final person that makes the decision on whether you get paid a higher salary or not, make it easier for them. If you know they need to get sign off from like their senior manager or HR, then when you go to the meeting, you want to be able to list in bullet points everything that you did. You can send this to them in an email afterwards, but everything that is in favor of you getting a raise. Top quartile performer, managed this project, led this business to success, brought in this client, brought in this amount of revenue on this deal, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. If you list all of the positives in favor of you getting a raise, it makes their pitch to HR or their pitch to their manager a lot more easier, and so it makes you stand out and it increases the chances of you getting that raise. Keep the focus on your work accomplishments as opposed to your finances. Don't focus on why you need the raise, focus on why you deserve the raise. So in an interview, you will tell them why you deserve to be hired, why you deserve to be in that position. The conversation for a salary raise is why you deserve to earn more money. And the reason for that is because, once again, you list your accomplishments. You've consistently been a top quartile performer in your peer group. You've consistently built relationships. You've consistently closed many deals, or you've worked on many deals that have been really successful. You've worked on relationships that have brought in big business. You've built your relationships internally and externally. You've done this, you've done that, etc., etc. It's all a pitch, and the stronger your pitch, the more likely you are to raise funding. In this case, get a higher compensation package. So yeah, do your research, make sure you are prepared before you go into the meeting. You want to be confident and comfortable about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, and for every point you need to back it up with an example, just as you would in an interview. Think of it like this: you're going to your manager to ask for a raise. That money that can potentially come into your pocket isn't going away from their pocket. They're not taking it out of their salary and giving it to you. You know, it doesn't harm them. It's the company's money. Your manager is a person between you and your company who can potentially allow that transaction to happen. So you need to make your manager's life easier. And all that takes is a strong pitch and the good reasoning to convince them that you deserve the raise, and that if you get the raise, you're going to continue to work harder and you're going to be more productive and you're going to continue doing what you've already done. And so it will make them look good, it will make the team look good, and in essence it will make the company perform a lot better. So it's in everyone's interest for employees to get a raise. So don't feel like doing a compensation meeting or a salary conversation meeting is a negative. Be open to it. It's completely normal. It's not entitled. And yeah, it's something you should definitely continuously think of every year or two if you want to, you know, earn what you deserve, and if you want to progress or climb and go to different companies and get what you deserve from a salary perspective. Typically your manager might say, let me think about it, and they'll go away. It might take a week or two, etc. Let them have a think about it. If they come back and they say the answer is no, you need to take it on the chin, take it on the chest, take it on the shoulder, but most importantly, you need to understand why. So ask them for feedback. They will be able to give you feedback and a list of reasons why they think that you don't deserve a raise. And if those points are fair, you need to just address those and agree with them. If I do these things within the next 6 months or year, will that allow me to, have a potential salary raise or increase next year? Lay it out 1 year ahead. Because when that time comes around, you'll be in a position where you can say, I've done this, as we've discussed. Now I think I'm in a position to get a salary raise, blah, 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 blah. So no can sometimes be yes, because it sets you up for next year, but take it on the chin. Don't worry if it is a no, it's completely fine. It won't ruin the relationship. But yeah, I hope that's been useful. Hopefully that's been insightful for you. Hopefully that's been interesting and useful. If you aren't already, make sure you check out a few of my other videos. There's lots on careers, there's lots on productivity, lifestyle, etc. For those of you that are aware, I am launching an app in the coming weeks. It's called Simply. You can learn more about it on simply.io, and it's basically a peer-to-peer career consulting app. So it's like tutoring, but for the world of careers. So it will give you access to people in the world of hedge funds, investment banking, consulting, finance, law, etc. People who have secured internships, people who are in the industry, and you can book them to have a 30-minute conversation or 60-minute conversation. So keep an eye out for that. Register your interest through the link. It's in the description below, or you can see it here, simply.io, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.